Now, for today's video, we will be considering a team that was expected by some, but not most, to develop the current narrative that they have as of right now to be considered serious playoff contenders for the 2021-22 NBA season, and that is the Golden State Warriors. Now, this is a team that barely missed the playoffs last season, losing 2 games in a row in the play-in tournament games to the Los Angeles Lakers, and then of course to the Memphis Grizzlies. And then the entire season in general provided an overall set of circumstances being totally against this Warriors team when you consider how Klay Thompson literally suffered another injury to keep him sidelined for his second straight season since the 2019 NBA Finals, along with the fact that this team simply not having many consistent scoring threats outside of Stephen Curry. Now, considering these many instances, the many considerations as to why this is a team that was able to get back on track to a championship hunt immediately relates specifically towards the personnel of this Warriors organization in general. Now, consider how throughout the years this team was able to literally dominate the entire league for half a decade with the many assets that were applied to construct the roster of this team. They obviously consisted of the main core revolving around Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and let me just add on the fact that this team managed to draft every single one of these players who contributed greatly towards the Warriors' recent success, which shows how great of a front office this team has in general. And the Warriors organization was able to surround these players with sufficient productivity to get the job done, leading towards 3 championships in the span of 5 NBA seasons. Now, this narrative regarding the instance of the Warriors being able to surround their core of Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green with players who are well qualified to push this team towards being championship contenders throughout the years isn't exactly the main point that I'm trying to consider. Now, the main reason as to why this is an organization consistently able to witness so much success is the instance of this team not trading players immediately, but instead keeping players around, developing them to their limits, which also results in building the lethal chemistry that this team consisted of in the past and even as of current. When you consider the many championship contending teams in the past, these are teams that usually reconstructed their rosters to implement players who were considered win now potential while getting rid of many of the young talented players that weren't as developed for them to have the potential to open up the team's championship window even wider. Considering the history of the Golden State Warriors, this is a team that literally kept their many young talented players along with the veterans that were already on the squad even when their potential as a team wasn't as high at the time. This leads towards these players eventually building up their chemistry, granting them the ability to play alongside each other effectively to win basketball games without having the biggest names possible during that specific time. Before the 2015 NBA season, the Warriors were considered a team that would be within playoff talks, of course, but were not even considered to be championship contenders within any given moment. But then you suddenly witness this team win a championship immediately after the season they literally lost in the first round to the Los Angeles Clippers, and the roster that was able to win the 2015 championship for the Warriors squad was very similar towards the roster who lost in the first round, including a few additions outside of their main core. And now, if we consider today's case for the Golden State Warriors, they are currently the best team in the league record-wise, whilst having a team who has a roster that doesn't look as scary as other rosters on paper. But the main key is the fact that this team is currently seeing more production from specific players this season that weren't given the same amount of production last season, along with these players being more accustomed to their role on the team due to them playing within this team system for a great amount of time. Within the games played for this team thus far, it is very apparent how great the chemistry is for this team in general. You see players not doing anything outside of their role, and they are simply executing when it comes to making shots consistently, along with great defensive stops when this team desperately needs them. And then you consider players, for example, Jordan Poole, who is literally putting up career highs in basically every stat, and you can see how much he has developed within his time on the Golden State Warriors. And this this team is also witnessing other players stepping up even more compared to last season, which will formulate the formula of winning basketball for this team without having the biggest names possible. And what makes this team even scarier is the fact that Klay Thompson hasn't even played a single game yet. So what does this mean? How far will the Golden State Warriors go in the postseason exactly? If you consider how well players on this roster is meshing together, along with the instance that Klay Thompson will be returning soon and Steve Kerr's system seems to be very effective, this is a team that can very well see themselves within the NBA Finals once again this season. To be very honest, if they are able to keep up the way they are currently playing throughout the entirety of this season, I would definitely take the Golden State Warriors to be able to come out of the West over most teams within the Western Conference, and it really wouldn't be a huge surprise if this team sustains at least a top 3 seed within this conference. But other than that, that will conclude today's video. What do you guys think? Do you think the Warriors will be serious contenders this season, or is it too early in the season to tell currently? Let me know your opinions in the comment section down below. Make sure you guys like this video and subscribe to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. I'm out. Peace.